Hello everybody, welcome back to that Stikbot channel, and today's video I'm making Dr. Phosphorus from Creature Commandos, and he actually glows in the dark. Here's all the paint I used, and without further ado, let's get straight into it. I actually have this guy's Lego figure from the Lego Batman movie, because this is literally, easily my favorite DC villain, might even be my favorite DC character, and James Gunn did him so right in Creature Commandos. So I started off with this glow-in-the-dark Stikbot. This was actually going to be Jamiroquai back for that casual J-Pod, but I didn't want to customize a new glow-in-the-dark Stikbot, so I just scrapped this old one and scraped off the paint on the arms and the torso. I only did the front of the torso, then I realized the paint that showed through on the back needed to be white, so I had to scrape off the sides and the back too, which was just so much fun. Got so much blue paint in my nails. Then I can actually start painting the bones. We start off with, I think it's the vertebrae and the clavicle, then the sternum, and of course the ribs themselves. Cut out some paper for the sleeves, shoes, and belt. Paint on the sleeves and the gray pants. Cut out some paper for his lab coat, although we're not going to go with this later on. You'll see what I'm talking about. Then I get started painting on the skull and the forearms. This is really difficult because the skeletal details aren't consistent from frame to frame because he's like, he's like on radioactive fire the whole time. This is the first skull I did. I focused on getting the shape of the jaw correct instead of the eyes, and that meant the whole thing looked very misshapen and I wasn't really satisfied with it. Then this is the second version. After redoing it, I started with the eyes because I felt like that needed to be perfect. So I started with the eyes and then I did the rest of the shaping around that, and I think it came out amazing. And I also started on refining the bones on the forearms. It is with the whole skull all painted up and all the forearms painted. I had to literally like scrub through every frame of animation to get a general idea of the most consistent bone shaping on his skull. The front wasn't too hard, but around the sides and the back was difficult, man. Painted up the sleeve, belt, and shoes in brown, black, and white, and I forgot to record me just attaching those on their own, but you can see them there. I did paint up the belt fully underneath the lab coat, even though it's never going to be shown. This is the lab coat. This is not the final product. There's an issue with this lab coat. As you can see, I have to fill in paint where I left gaps from the paper. I am an idiot. I don't know why I thought like that wasn't gonna happen, and then what ended up happening is I just kept putting on layer upon layer upon layer of thick white paint to try and get it to be seamless, and by the time I did, it was just way too thick and it looked disgusting. This alone pushed this custom back like 3 days. This was done on Halloween. The lab coat is all I've been working on for 3 days now. As you can see, nothing I was doing was working. The buildup was just disgusting. It was a mess. Terrible execution on my part. Good idea, just I don't know why I didn't fill it in with paper the first time. I think I was so focused on making the lab coat be posable to a certain degree that I lost the plot on the rest of the lab coat. Then all the layers of white paint, like they were cracking around where it needed to move. It was a mess. Here you can see just how thick that paint had become. Look at this. There's just so much on there. I need to get a new bottle of white paint because it just all went on to this. Then here is the new lab coat. It is one solid piece of paper that wraps all the way around. It is actually held there with friction completely. I just need to reshape it a little bit, and here he is finished. Painted up the lab coat, connected it a little bit. I left out the cuts in the lab coat because the reason why they were cuts is so it could be posable and I could like put it in any position. But the lab coat kind of, it goes out a little bit near the bottom, so it can actually has its full rotation, which is really cool. Look at him compared to the Lego one. I think I might have been Lego for this. I mean, there's this glow in the dark. Starting off with the skull, I mean, the biggest issue with this custom is the paint buildup. You can see it very well on the skull, depending on how the light hits it. From where I would fix mistakes or trying to reshape it. Trying to get a consistent design for his skull was so not fun, but I think this accomplished generally what he looks like pretty well. Down to the torso looks fine. I mean, it's exactly what I want it to look like. The lab coat, I do like it has clearance. I love this so much. It can do a full 360 rotation. That is so cool. I was gonna have it like, and it has a little bit of posability. I want it to be able to come out like on the original, but I think the way that I did it this way is actually a lot better. And one thing I find really cool is that this is held in with like pretty much just friction. Obviously there's some paint holding it in place just in case, bars. It's pretty much held in there by friction. I kind of painted over this with the friction. That was really cool to me. Then for the arms, I think this general design translates that they're bones across fine enough. It is really difficult trying to add bones to the Stikbot arms because of the way they're shaped, but I think this design is clean enough. That's the shape that his bones most typically make in the show. Painted the belt even though you cannot see it, and then just some basic black shoes. Also for the cuffs here, he has his sleeves go over his shoulders. It wouldn't make sense for the cuffs to be on the shoulders. They would make more sense to be on the forearms. That's why I did that. I don't want to say I'm proud of this custom so much as I just think it's awesome. It's Dr. Phosphorus, and it's a black skeleton that glows in the dark. Speaking of glowing in the dark, I actually had to wait until it was nighttime to do this because when I took the pictures, the sun was coming out. Get ready for this, get ready for this, get ready for this. Are you ready? This is the coolest thing ever. Boom. Isn't that sick? Look at this. That is so cool. I'm so easily impressed. I just it's Dr. Phosphorus and he glows in the dark. That's awesome. It looks even cooler under a black light. Hold on. Look at him. Look, this thing is just so cool. I did think about cell shading him like in the show itself. I thought the gimmick of making him a glow-in-the-dark Stikbot was like way too cool to pass up. And that means I don't have to cell shade GI Robot when I get around to making him. This is easily my favorite custom I've ever made. It's just, I love it. Rare GooseHamlin Custom W. Anyway, of course, let me know what you guys think of this in the comments down below. If you're interested in joining my Discord server or following any of my socials, those links will of course be in the description. Keep on honking my goose and ham sandwiches, and I'll see y'all later. Peace out.